Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian Calvo, founder and president of the Node House and creator of the Resourceful Real Estate Academy, here with another informative how-to real estate video that's going to make you a much more successful real estate investor. And just the very fact that you're watching this video, I know that you're someone who's committed to mastery over the asset class that is real estate and constantly learning about this investment class to make you a better investor and to make your community better, make a positive impact in the local and just overall market. So I get this a lot now from investors. And at the Node House, I mean, we have just the phone rings off the hook with people that are calling about, hey, what kind of deals do you guys have to offer? How can you guys help me strategically plan my real estate portfolio? And, you know, and we help people do that all the time. I mean, we're not just a private equity firm. We're also someone who believes in helping real estate entrepreneurs be the best that they can become, because we think it's like this virtuous cycle that goes around and around, if you will. But the comment I've been hearing a lot lately is inventory is drying up. And that's true to a certain extent if you're only looking for example, REOs or short sales or maybe multifamily apartment buildings. In certain places like South Florida, most apartment buildings are being sold retail to investors. There's a lot of demand, and the banks know this. But another thing, too, is that the banks and for lack of a better word, we'll call it the powers that be, Fannie, Freddie, the big banks, the Federal Reserve, I believe, and I have no proof of this, that they're kind of getting together on a monthly basis, and they're saying, okay, let's slowly let the inventory out, and that way we can keep prices propped up. If they allowed the millions of homes that they have on their balance sheets just to basically be sold, like they did in the savings and loan scandal, prices would pretty much collapse. And that's just the opposite of what they're trying to do, because they know there could be no real economic recovery unless there is a housing recovery. So that's why they're keeping our interest rates artificially low. It's why you have this type of market manipulation, because they're trying to reinflate the housing bubble. Will they be able to do that? I don't know. I do believe their efforts will help in stabilizing prices and seeing some appreciation over the next few years. But the question is now, how do you profit from this now, and how do you continue to find real estate deals? So there is a type of inventory that is not running dry, and that's notes, non-performing notes, really. I mean, banks, here's one thing. Banks with properties that they're going to sell where you can take title to, they know there's more of a demand for that. And that's something that they can, coordinate and slowly let that drip, drip, drip out, that type of inventory. And that's going to work to their advantage. A lot of local investors will bid against each other, and that's going to help them get a maximum recovery. But for notes, it's different, especially in states like in Florida, where it's a judicial foreclosure state, where the bank knows, if I own this non-performing note, it could take me 2, 3, 4 years to take title if the homeowner or the property owner fights me in a foreclosure. That's not a risk I want to take, so I'd much rather sell the note. And so I can attest to the fact, and again, because we see this every single day when we review portfolios, millions of dollars a week, almost a day, of banks, hedge funds, private equity firms that have just trillions of dollars in non-performing loans. I mean, it's all over the place. And, this doesn't make the front page of the Wall Street Journal, so you really don't hear about it, but it's the reason why banks continue to be shut down by the FDIC. And now it's not so much that they're getting shut down. Now they're taken over by another bank, because the bank that was taken over is basically has too much toxic debt. And so the new bank takes over with the FDIC loss share agreement, which I talked about in the last video, which is very important that you know, because when you're dealing with these banks, you kind of really know, okay, well, what are they really thinking, and what's the real story? So the inventory is out there, but it's in notes. Not to say that there's not a tremendous amount of REOs out there that you could buy as well. You just need to know where to find them. It's one of the things that the Node House does. I mean, we just closed on an REO pool yesterday that was dozens and dozens of homes in the Carolinas, in Ohio, and we've studied those markets. We've done a tremendous amount of due diligence in those markets, and we have a great trading partner, several of them, but one in particular that we are able to source these deals from. So they're out there and they exist. But when you put yourself in the position of somebody who's saying, okay, inventory is running dry, where do I go find deals, right? You got to remember, there's plenty of notes out there, so you got to kind of just change your mentality on how am I going to monetize this market. I may not be able to monetize it with buying a property that I could fix up and sell, although those do exist, and if you go to the right place, you'll find them. But also you need to become an expert and understand the concept of mastery with respect to the non-performing note side. Because, look, you could go out and you could buy a bank-owned foreclosure or an REO, and you can fix it up, you can rent it, you can sell it, or you can go buy 2 or 3 or 4 notes for the price you would have paid for the REO, and cultivate your own REO portfolio. Yes, you may not be able to flip it in 30 days, and yes, you might have a combative owner that you're going to fight. In fact, the beauty of the notes is that many times it's in working with the homeowner that you're able to maximize the profitability of the deal, so it's actually a win-win for all parties, or you can do a cash for keys incentive. There's enough room in the deal. So I'd urge you to become an expert in the note arena. Learn the concept, dedicate yourself to mastery as a real estate investor, and don't just sit back and say, well, inventory is drying up. These deals aren't being served up on a silver platter like they were maybe a few years ago. Now, the last thing I want to drive home is the best source of deals, because you can come to the Note House. We have tremendous amount of deals. You can join private real estate clubs like Drenix.com that offer, they have tens of millions of dollars of deals on their books every single month that they release to their club members. You can, work with some of the top agents in your market that can be a source of deals. But you could also just work with the banks that are right in your neighborhood. It doesn't need to be just the big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Deutsche Bank. You could just go into your local banks and sit down typically with the CFO. Those in the local banks, the CFOs are the people who manage the distressed portfolios, and you could build a rapport with them, and they could be a quality source of deals for you. That's what's so great about this market, and it's why we named the Resourceful Real Estate Academy. That's why we put the word resourceful in it, because I think the person that maximizes this market, that gains the most advantage, gains the most profitability from this market, is the investor that is the most resourceful. So you're not just finding your deals from one source. You need to come up with dozens of sources for you to find deals. That's what a real estate investor that's dedicated to mastery does. So I'm going to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been informative. And remember, if you haven't already, sign up for our newsletter at thenotehouse.us. You'll get some great content that's going to talk to you about just different opportunities and different things and steps that you can take right now to put together great resourceful real estate deals. Of course, you can always contact us as well, info@thenotehouse.us. I'm Fabian Calvo. Thank you for watching. I'm out.